Hello, dudes and dudettes, and welcome to the Jordan Powers Experience Episode 8. My name is Jordan Powers, and on today's episode, we are interviewing my man, Jay Harv. Jay Harv is a local producer here in town, working with guys such as Indigo and a man named Castro out of LA, who's starting to pop off right now. I was super stoked to have him on the podcast because he's heading off to LA to finish up some of these projects he's working on. We have a chance to talk about the music industry locally, the music scene in general, some of his influences, and as well, he talked about a hilarious story of dealing with a bomb squad in the Phoenix airport. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this episode a lot. Let's just hear a quick word from my sponsors, starting with Oakham Cannabis. Oakham Cannabis is a privately owned, family-run craft producer here in Kelowna, BC. In their facility, they are determined to produce the highest quality of bud in their state-of-the-art Roto-Grow rotational gardening system, as well as premium full-spectrum CO2 extracted oil, all done in-house with their Apex extraction unit. All growing is done indoors using a hydroponic system to create a clean and controlled growing environment. Oakham has been producing clean, high-quality, high-THC cannabis for almost 2 years. Their controlled conditions allow them to produce cannabis that is free of pesticides and mold, as well as not using irradiating. They recycle water, employ organic practices, and are energy efficient. You can get their first 2 products on the market pretty damn soon here in BC, if not already by the time this podcast drops. So keep an eye out for Smoke 'em and Discover. My second sponsor is Garnish Barware. Garnish Barware is trusted behind some of Canada's busiest cocktail bars. They do custom engraved barware kits. You can get those all online at www.garnishbarware.com, including this fancy little stir spoon. Look at that. There's a skull right on there. All custom engraved here in Kelowna, BC. You can get a bunch of stuff, more than just the spoon. Check it out. Go to www.garnishbarware.com and support them. So without further ado, here is my podcast episode with the one and only Jay Harv. All right.
Sweet.
3, 2, 1. Jay Harv.
How you doing?
How are you doing today?
Doing great. Love the quote of the B tag, man.
I had to. I was all day. I was just like, yes, I'm gonna get him right at the beginning with that.
Hey, got to quote Indigo. Got to quote the GOAT.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Pretty good. No complaints. Just another busy work day and then on to the podcast. So,
Definitely,
yeah, man. I'm excited to have you on the podcast and chat a little bit. You're a very talented producer here in town. I hadn't really heard of you until you started working with Cam.
Yep.
But instantly, as soon as you start hanging out with those boys and get plugged into the scene, then you must be somebody of note. So
Thank you. I appreciate those kind words, 100%.
yeah, and you're off to LA soon.
I'm off to LA, going to live with Castro Guapo down there, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that he's putting me in there. So
Wild. Well, maybe let's go back a little bit and start with who you are and what you do and how you got to this point of working with Castro and moving down to LA.
Absolutely. So I'm. Let's start way back. I'm a young Canadian kid from Alberta. So come from a little country town ish called Lethbridge.
Okay. Yep.
I've been doing music my whole life, and then I also did like hockey and stuff, which I think was a good character builder. And then ended up moving
on my own show. It's my mom. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. Keep going. You were from Lethbridge.
Yeah. So
hockey.
from Lethbridge, played hockey, and then moved here and joined the concert band out here, and it was terrible. It was absolutely awful. Made me want to quit music. Actually.
What school?
KCS.
KCS.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the teacher did not know what he was doing.
I went to OKM and I played drums.
Okay.
And it made me kind of dislike music and especially band. So I ended up stopped playing in grade 11, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I was grade 8 actually.
Oh wow.
And
So early.
Really early. And
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was terrible. I played alto sax. I self-taught trumpet and flute as well at the time. And then, so I quit for a little bit. I wasn't doing music. I was just doing hockey. And I ended up getting into music production, fell in love with it. And so I've been doing it ever since, and went down to LA in 2018 for a school down there. And then Indigo and we reconnected once I was back, because we knew each other for about a year at that point, but then we reconnected and we started talking more music, stuff like that. And about a year ago, we started recording our album that we're doing. And he was getting a feature from Castro, which is now on his tape Why Hate, Why Play, and it's called Rah Rah. I recorded that one and helped mix it, and Castro just liked me, whatever. So we started recording a lot, hanging out a lot, and he was just like, hey, I want you down in LA for a little bit. It's like, hey, if you want me there, I'm there. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's set it up. So went through the motions and have it set up, fly down and stay with him for about a month.
Very cool. Very cool. And what made you quit in the first place when you were in band?
So the teacher just did not know how to run a band.
Okay.
It seemed like he was passionate about music, which I can respect. But it was also one of those things where it's like, okay, he's conducting, but he's not paying attention to the right spots. And he's also not picking the correct songs for the amount of people we had. We had about, I want to say like 15 people in the band. And he's picking these ones for like the concert band that I would have been in Alberta, which is like 40 people.
I see.
So we just don't have enough instruments going on to make the noise that we need to. And so it was just terrible.
Interesting. So you just had a overall not very good experience and was just like, this is not for me.
Yeah, just overall bad. Me and a buddy actually from Lethbridge he moved out here a year before I did, and he was doing percussion. And he was the one who was like, oh, we need to get this guy in the band. And so I joined, and him and I both quit at the same time. We're both out. So.
And do you remember the moment that you rediscovered music production and fell in love with it? Was there a specific moment?
Yeah. So it's a funny story telling how I got into music production. Actually, I wanted to be a rapper.
Okay.
So I was looking at 14 years old. I was like, okay, I want to be a rapper. I was listening to a lot of Kendrick, a lot of Eminem at the time. I was like, okay, I want to do this. So I started pulling up type beats, different things like that. But then I took inventory of my life. At 14 years old, I took a step back. I was like, okay, let's see if I can actually do this. And I was like, okay, white, Canadian, Christian, privileged. The hell am I going to rap about? What is my content going to be? So I was like, okay, I need to find a way to get into this. And then I searched up FL Studio and downloaded it, and it's been, just doing it ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you probably saved yourself a lot of cringiness.
Oh, yeah.
In the beginning, because, man, being a rapper at 14 it's tough, dude. You have to...
Unless you're like Matt Ox, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, exactly. There's a very select few that can really, really pull it off. So
100%.
That's interesting. And so rap and hip hop, was that kind of always the genre that you had fallen in love with? Or?
Yeah. So my mom, back when she was a teen, she was all about rap and everything. And my dad listened to Public Enemy and everything like that. Nice. But my mom loved it a lot more. And so her parents were really strict. But she hid a Doggy Style tape under her seat.
By Snoop Dogg?
Yeah. So she loves Snoop Dogg. And so she hid one of those under her seat. And so growing up, we listened to pretty much anything Dr. Dre produced. We listened to that a lot of the time. It was always clean up until grade 6 was the rule. Grade 6, we can start listening to explicit music, but past that, before that, we have to listen to clean music. And it was always clean Eminem, always clean Dre, always clean Snoop, and we would listen to that. So just from an early age, just loved it. Nice.
Interesting. And so you said that you were working with an indie and stuff, and that you guys kind of knew each other.
Yep.
Indies, I can't remember if this was on camera or off camera, but you said he's the GOAT.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. He's literally in the Valley, he's our superstar. As far as I'm concerned, he has the superstar potential. And he's going to get there. 100%.
I would agree. Yeah, there's a few people that I think could really pop off, and he's on that list.
He has the 3, in my opinion. He has the sound, he has the look, and he has the drive. A lot of people are missing the drive. Some people don't have the look. A lot of people have the sound here. Some people don't, unfortunately. But he has all 3, and that's part of the reason why he's one of my best friends just in general, and also my best friend in music.
Yeah. Well, from a music video director's perspective, he can act on camera also and really perform. So I always love working with him. How did you guys kind of link up and start working together? So
we actually met at KSS, because I graduated from KSS, and there was this studio there that a teacher had set up in the video production room. Teacher's name is Jonathan Dirksen. Great guy. He actually bought a mic for Jack DeVille, Indigo, and all of the guys to use Migs. All of the guys used this mic, and it was an expensive mic, and he bought it for them to use to get clear vocals. And so I met all the guys through that, and we would just sit there and hang out, and just Indigo and I really connected because we would talk about Kendrick and we'd talk about Travis.
Nice.
Both 2 of our favorite artists. So we would just talk about oh, did you hear this production thing, whatever. And that's just kind of how we connected. We didn't work until we had known each other for like 3 years, I think.
Wild. And how'd you end up linking with Castro? And who is Castro? I know a little bit about him, but...
So Castro is part of the Come Down Collective, who they started in Toronto. And he's from Atlanta, but they started in Toronto and, amassed some success. And then... yeah, now he's down in LA and he's ready for takeover.
Okay,
which
so he's popping off a little bit, or
oh yeah, he's getting his latest snippet on Instagram is getting some attention for sure. I linked up with Castro. Indigo was recording Why Hate Why Play, and I was talking to Castro's tour manager at the time. And Castro's tour manager and I had miscommunication. I obviously didn't express what I wanted to do well enough, and he thought I was trying to buy a feature. He's like, oh, we could get like a good price, whatever. And I'm like, that's cool, but that's not really what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is like produce and mix for him. I was more so trying to mix for him because I was focused on that at the time. And so he's like, oh, okay, like Indigo and Castro are making this track, whatever. I want to get you to do it. And I think that's partly Brendan who made that decision and partly Indigo. I think it's both of them. And so they came over to my place where we've recorded a lot of stuff, actually. And we recorded the track. I stayed up entirely too late for how early I worked that night. And we recorded the whole track. Indigo came back a couple days later. We re-recorded the parts he wanted to, mixed it, got it all done within like 6 days. And then it just sat for a little bit, and it's out. I love listening to the song.
Yeah. Do you like listening to the things you've worked on, or
some of them? Some of them, no. Some of them, I do. Yeah.
As it kind of ages a little bit and you get better at your craft, is that where it kind of starts to? You're like, oh, I could have done this better, or yeah.
It's also like certain things, like listening to certain tracks that I could have mixed better. Right. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say them because people are going to go back and listen to the tracks and be like, that is off. I'll just say certain tracks. I'm like, I listen to it and I'm like, that's not right. And so I just can't listen to it because I'm like, I know I could do better.
I think that's every great artist, though. Yeah. I think every great artist has that kind of battle. And I'm kind of the opposite, so maybe I'm not a great artist, but I love all the stuff I do. Even the little flaws in it, I'm like, cool. Like, that's where it was at the time. And
hey, man, got a little bit of Kanye in you. That's okay.
Yeah, sure. I'll jump up on stage and take the mic from the next Taylor Swift or something.
I'm going to let you finish, but I'm a great director, okay? She's like, oh, okay.
I'm one of the best of all time. That's awesome, man. And so how, like, what is it a music video producer does, or sorry, a music producer does, in your opinion? Because I feel like once you start mixing in the word like executive producer, like somebody like a DJ Khaled, people kind of get confused as to what a producer does.
Okay, so there's, in the back end of things, there's a bunch of different roles. So there's recording engineer, mixing engineer, mastering engineer. Those are all the engineers, usually. And then those could all be one person as well. Kind of rare in the higher levels, but could be. Then there's the producer, and in that there's a subgenre of beat makers, and then there's executive producers. So I have filled all of those roles in different times. Recording engineer is what I'm like. What Castro. One of the things Castro loves about me, I think it's part of the reason why I'm going down, is because I record in a very efficient way. I don't like to mess around. Let's get the lyrics down. Let's get the song down. We can deal with everything after. This is what we're doing in the moment. Mixing engineer is taking that and just making it sound pretty, is how I like to describe it.
Right.
I make rappers sound pretty, essentially. I'm doing that for the whole tape with Indigo. I helped him do that on the one song on Why Hate Why Play. Everything else he does himself. He's an absolute superhuman. And then mastering engineer is like making it loud. So then you have producers. Real producers, they control the session a little bit. And they give feedback where necessary. They tell them if it's dope and they don't need to record another take, stuff like that. And then there's beat makers who essentially just make the beat, send it off. I don't particularly like doing that. I have done it. I don't like doing it because it feels like I don't have as much artistic control over what's happening. And then executive producing is like you get given an album, and let's say you're given 30 tracks, and you have to whittle it down to 8. You pick what tracks, and you communicate with the artist and stuff. So I'm also doing that. Indigo and I are doing that for Pleiades, where we're trying to sequence it in a way, which is the album we're working on. We're trying to sequence it in a way that flows really well and makes sense. And that's what executive producing is making sure everything flows.
Right.
Metro Boomin, great executive producer. If you go and listen to Not All Heroes Wear Capes, everything flows into each other. Savage Mode 2, everything flows into each other. Without Warning, everything flows into each other. That's being a great executive producer.
Nice. So the whole kind of album or piece at the end of the day is just like it's one moving piece of art.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you look at it, the best playlists on Spotify and stuff, the people who curate those would be amazing executive producers if they just wanted to shift it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if anyone's done that yet, but they should. Because they could literally pitch that to labels and be like, hey, this is my playlist. It all flows. It sounds like it's cohesive. I could do this for albums.
Right.
Which actually would be a really cool idea.
Yeah, that makes sense. When you're in the studio recording with these guys, is like kind of setting a tone and a vibe a giant part of it also? Like I'm sure every kind of artist has their own unique process when it comes to recording.
Oh yeah. So what happened with Indigo and Castro is we were there and Castro and I started playing ping pong. As soon as he got there, we started playing ping pong. He beat me. I didn't even like let him win or anything like that. He just straight up, he's very good at ping pong. Yeah. Like I was like, I don't know why I didn't expect it, but man's knows how to play ping pong.
That should be a music video. Him like doing like Balls of Fury style where he's just facing a bunch of different like masters at ping pong.
And it's just like all a bunch of his friends and stuff. That'd be crazy. That's a really good idea.
I'll direct it. I'll make it happen.
Hey, man, I'll hit you up 100%. So we started playing ping pong and then we're all hanging out and I'm like, okay, what color do you guys want the lights? Whatever. So I changed the lights to whatever color they want and we're all just hanging out. Some people are on the couch, some people are in the chairs and they're like, hey, can we put on anime and just play the beat? I'm like, sure, we can do that. So I put on the beat on loop and then we put on anime and muted it. And they just watched Demon Slayer while writing the song. And that's just that's how that song was made. And then Indigo sometimes likes to watch like, I think it's Topaz something or other, like where people are like polishing topaz or stones or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about him.
Yeah. Yeah. He loves stuff like that. So during like the final parts of recording our tape, he was watching a lot of that while recording. And it's just communicating with the artist. It's pretty easy. Like I feel like a lot of people overcomplicate things. It's just like, okay, what do you want? Go off that.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're there to record them. You're there, like you have your influence and your own artistic kind of capabilities on it, but you probably view that part of the session as like to capture them in their full moment and their full artistry. Yep.
100%.
That's so interesting that you mentioned anime, that they watched anime, because I noticed that about like guys like Jack DeVille and Migs and stuff. It seems like anime has played such a giant part in rap and hip hop music recently. Yep. And I guess like if you go back to like Wu-Tang and stuff like that, like they have a lot of references to kind of like some like the kung fu movies that were coming out of Japan and stuff at the time. Yep. Maybe China also. So I guess there's always been that kind of element to it, but yeah, what is that? Do you think? Like,
I think it's just partially. From what I picked up, like I'm not a huge anime fan. Like I understand it.
Me neither. Yeah,
I've talked to them about it, and what Castro, Migs, and Indy said that night is, actually no, I didn't bring it up that night. I didn't really want to like mess up the vibes, but I talked about it with Indigo later, I believe, and Migs, and they said that it's a lot about the visuals because the visuals are just so stunning. Right. I'm like, I can appreciate that. It's art. And then it's partially the storylines as well. Like they really like the storylines. I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. Everybody likes their own thing. And it all comes down to what you relate with. Right. So, someone who's been through struggle and different things like that, they might like anime more because there is struggle and you can see the hardship and everything like that. Me, I haven't gone through a lot of hardship. So I like the lighthearted stuff. I like Friends. I like How I Met Your Mother. I like The Office. They like that stuff too, but their go-to a lot of the time is like Naruto or Demon Slayer or stuff like that. Mine is those. So it's just different. I think it's different influences and stuff like that.
Very interesting. My ultimate goal is to make a gangster film, like a Reservoir Dogs or like a Casino or Heat or any Guy Ritchie type film, and have some rappers start referencing it. You know, like when Quentin Tarantino gets referenced in a song, or Martin Scorsese, or one of their films gets referenced in a song. I'm like, I want that.
Tony Montana
so bad, dude.
and like everything. Exactly. What did Drake say in the song with Meek Mill? It's like, what you say was Don Corleone. Trust me, at the top it isn't lonely. Everybody acting like they know me, dog. And it's just like, oh, gross bars, like crazy. Who were some of your producers that you were influenced by, and when you were getting into the game? So I would say I'm actually wearing a Metro Boomin t-shirt right now. This is Metro is a big one. He's, as far as I'm aware, or as far as I'm concerned, he is top 3 all time, solidified. He's there forever. Timbaland is a big one. Kanye. I mean, Kanye has to be an influence for everyone. Yeah. I don't understand people who leave him off, like, especially our generation. Yeah. Especially anyone like younger than 30. Yeah. Like Graduation, right, has got to be like the number one. Yeah. And like I listen to like 808s and Heartbreaks a lot. I listen to like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That has the best mix song ever, in my opinion, which is Blame Game featuring John Legend. And then I would say like now it's like the Kenny beats, and I'm starting to get more into like sample making and sample like that type of stuff. So Mario Luciano, who is actually a mentor of mine, definitely influenced by him. Frank Dukes. And then Q Beats, Southside, like all of these people who are like super iconic, I got to say them. And then I also got taught by a dude down in Hollywood named Doug Fensky, who influenced my career more than pretty much anyone. Indigo gives him a run for his money, but I still think Doug influenced my career more than anything. And that, you said that was down in Hollywood. Yeah. So you've been down there before? Yeah, I was down there for school in 2018. Okay. Yes. Just for school for music production? For music, yeah. So it's called Create Music Academy, and I was down there for about five and a half weeks, something like that. Same amount of time that I'm going to be down for this time. And Doug is like the leader of the school there. He teaches and everything, and he goes through like songwriting is like the first week, like songwriting and how to properly produce. I can't remember what the second week is, or the third week actually. Third week, I think you get introduced to mixing. Fourth week is like you go heavy into mixing and like mastering a little bit. And then your final project is like you mix and master the song only by 9 Inch Nails. Oh, nice. Went number 1 on a couple charts. Trent Reznor, right? Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy song. I listen to it now and I'm like, oh, that's cool that they did that, because I did it this way. And it's cool to have that experience. That's so dope. Yeah. Yeah. It's really crazy. And Doug is actually multi-platinum Grammy winner, so great guy to learn. Wild. From. Yeah. Yeah, that's so the often, especially in the film industry and going to film school, like going to film school is not necessary. Yeah. And in my personal experience, I wouldn't even recommend it, because the amount of money that you can spend on school, you can just go and spend on doing a short film, buying your first camera, and actually going and getting paid and learning on the job. Yeah. And so the quote is, those who can't do, teach. Yep. But when I went down to LA and I was hanging around with some of these people and like 1800 Nothing Records and stuff, and it was like they were bringing in like legit people to teach. Yep. And so this guy, you said he had Grammys and like, so you were learning from some of the best. Yeah, he has a Grammy for Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. Wild. Really? Yep. He was on that. Yeah, he recorded on Pink Matter. Wow. Yep. Damn, because that's got to be one of the most like loved albums of all time as well. Yeah. Anytime anyone learns that's my mentor, they're like, they just take a step back. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I text them all the time. That's like crazy. I text them questions. I'm like, hey, what about this piece of gear? Hey, what would you do in this situation? Different things like that. And it's like, I don't text them that much. It's like probably once a month at this point, but I get a response pretty quickly. And like, he is one of those people where he's on the Grammy board now and everything. So he plays a role in the industry for sure. Yeah. I guess that's the benefit of going down to these kind of like cultural hubs and like worldwide cultural hubs as well, like LA and New York and stuff, is that you get instantly tapped into
the community, like
Yep.
the people that are making things happen. Like
100%.
when we were down there, like we saw like little Dickie walking down the street. I think we met like the Thundercat as well. I didn't
my
say hi to him
goodness.
or anything like that, but yeah, it was just like you're rubbing shoulders with the best of the best.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm so pumped to get down there. Oh my
I
goodness.
believe it, man. I believe it. Cool. Well, we're going to take a real quick break and hear from our sponsors, but we'll be right back.
Definitely. Sure, man. Yeah, if we can bring it up in a way, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll just bring it up right now. We were talking about heading down to the U.S., the L of A, and we were talking about airports, and I haven't had any major issues going across the border that I can think of right now. My dad kind of like pulls the classic like dad jokes all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just kidnapped these guys. And we're like, what are you doing? Like,
Stop,
yeah. But you had a major airport mishap one time?
Yeah, so I was 15 at the time, and we actually drove down to where did we drive down? It was somewhere in the States. We drove through the border, and then we were flying domestic in the States. And we flew out, got to Phoenix, we were fine. My brother played a golf tournament, and we were leaving, and I had a laptop at the time. It was a demo unit from Best Buy, so it had like an abnormality inside of it or something, like on the bottom right corner. And so they flagged it down, and they were like, hey, like this doesn't seem right. And so instantly I start getting stressed because I'm a 15-year-old about to get questioned by the TSA. And so they swab it down and they put it in the machine, and it goes off for military-grade explosive residue.
What?
Yeah. So I get it. I'm like, that's weird. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Try it again. They're like, maybe it's a false positive. Try it again. Goes off again. They're like, okay, maybe it's the machine. And at this point, they're shutting down the security checkpoint just in case it's real and it's a fucking bomb. And so they go and they swab it down again, and they put it in the other machine, and it goes off from military-grade explosive residue.
Oh, my.
So they shut down the security checkpoint completely, and they're starting to bring in everyone you can think of. TSA is there because there's security guards, obviously. And then they bring in the police squad of Phoenix, fire squad of Phoenix, bomb squad of Phoenix, FBI, and Homeland Security. So I'm like, oh,
You're like,
this
I'm
is-
going to get arrested.
yeah, this is serious. So then they start to shut down the airport more and more as they're looking into it. They start questioning us. You get asked the same questions about 15 times. Where are you from? Where do you live? What's your address? Da-da-da. Family members. Everything like that. Everything fun like that. And so I'm freaking out.
And you're like, are you with your family at
My
this point?
dad stayed
or, like-
behind, but then once they started shutting down everything, all four of us were back together. My middle brother he was playing hockey at the time, so he wasn't there. I don't think he's mad about it anymore, but he was for a very long time. So it was me, my oldest brother, there's three of us, and then it was my mom and my dad. And so my dad stayed with me while they were doing all the swabs and everything, and my oldest brother and my mom were just hanging out and just like, what is going on?
I feel like that's got to be a tell to these people. Like, yo, his family's in the lobby.
Yeah.
Like, either he's a psycho or...
Yeah. Either dude's like messed up and or it's all, man. Dude just really needed to blow up an airport. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, hey, we need to call in the bomb robot and like put it into like this metal box and see if it explodes.
Over your laptop.
Yeah. So they come get my laptop, put it in this metal box.
It was just the beats. They were just that
Yeah,
fire,
just-
right? They're just...
just that fire. It was crazy. And so they take it off site and they throw it around for a little bit and it doesn't explode. Unsurprisingly, I'm not a terrorist. Turns out I learned that day. And so they then go and when they were getting the bomb robot, they started to deplane everybody and shut down Terminal 4 of Sky Harbor International Airport. So no planes coming in or out. And this happened it was shut down for about 2 hours. And there was people getting aggressive. There was a lady cop who was escorting us around, everything like that. She is the most badass person I have ever had the privilege of being around ever. She is so sick. This dude was getting all intense, some business dude, and trying to get to a meeting, understandable. But he's like, I need to get to my flight. Like, I need to go there. And he starts like kind of getting up on this chick, like aggressive towards her. And she's like, sir, I'm going to need you to de-escalate, or I'm going to de-escalate for you. She said it in that exact tone. I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life.
She's confident. She's about to fuck some shit up.
Yeah, I was like, she's about to like flip this dude or something. This is going to be sick. And so it didn't explode, whatever. They saved my hard drive. I had trash beats at the time, but I was thankful for it because I was like, yes, get to keep my beats. And I thought they were so good. They were horrible, but
so funny.
I was so happy. And we got detained for another like 6 hours once everything had gone by. Just because they're like, we need to look through these people's history and check if there's anything. There wasn't. And so for some reason, the airline felt bad. So they bought us pizza. I don't know why they felt bad. The TSA was doing their job. I understand that. They're just making sure no one blows up.
Pretty well, yeah. Yeah. Pretty reasonable.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, fair.
Yeah. Appreciate the pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, not unnecessary.
Did it have pineapples on it? Or?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, right? Terrible. And then we got home. By the time we got home, we flew all over like the southwest of the States because we had like 3 connecting flights or something because it was so weird the way that it happened. And by the time we got back to wherever we were, I can't remember where it was. We were driving around, or we landed, and it was like 2 or 3 a.m. We're like, we're not driving back to Kelowna today. So we stayed the night, and then we drove back, and I missed school on that Monday. So everybody's like, oh, like, where were you? Whatever. And like my best friend and my girlfriend at the time, only those 2 knew. And so I get back to class, and they're like, where were you? Whatever. I'm like, oh, I shut down an international airport. No, you didn't.
Yeah, classic J Harv.
Yeah, right. Right. Classic guy. What a crazy guy.
You're so funny.
And then I pulled up the news clip. I was like, oh, there was a news story. I was like, oh, really?
Oh my Lord.
Boom, put it up. Everybody. Our teacher was like, does anybody have any questions
for J Harv?
Everybody put their hand up. Everybody put their hand up instantly. I was like, yeah, let's get into this. Let's talk about this.
Most popular kid for the day, for sure.
Oh, yeah. For the week. Because, like, I went to youth group and, like, everybody asked me about it there. All the leaders were like, hey, I heard, is this true? I'm like, yeah, it's true.
That's
They're like,
wild.
Are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine now.
I'm great.
At the time, maybe not. But now, I'm amazing. I have a story to tell for the rest of my life.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Damn, that is a good story.
Who else at 15 shuts down an international airport and gets to walk away? Yeah. Not many people.
So did you like ever figure out why that went off, or like what caused it to go off? And
nope.
It was a used laptop, you said?
Yep. It was a demo unit at Best Buy.
Damn.
So the military grade explosive residue might be because of the fertilizer at a golf course, because C4 and fertilizer have common elements.
Oh.
The abnormality, still don't know. Like, the computer is completely broken. I have it, but I haven't looked into it. And
You still have the computer?
I still have the computer.
Yeah, you have to frame that thing or something.
Oh yeah, it's in Lethbridge right now. Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's ever seen a bomb robot before. Like,
it's really cool. We couldn't really see it. We had to see it through the glass and like through the reflection. So you're not allowed to see it because it's like this thing might explode.
You're taking like Instagram videos of your own bomb video.
I wasn't allowed to have anything. If I would have taken out my phone, I probably would have been tackled.
Jeez.
It's like, oh, he's trying to film him blowing up an airport. No, I'm not. No. What? Stop.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy. Well, I mean, puts a lot of confidence in the airports nowadays. In my mind. Like,
right. It's like, okay, so over something like that, they shut down. I did the math. I wrecked about 20,000 people a day that day, and roughly anywhere from like $25 to $100 million US.
Yeah.
I messed up that much in that short amount of time, and I'm like, cool.
I feel like that's got to be your beat tag. Like, I got some bomb ass beats or something. You know?
Indigo.
Yeah.
If you listen to this, we need that.
Yeah, he'll say it way cooler than I would. Yeah. For sure.
He'd like do some crazy like high pitch something or other. It sound like the Young Thug but Indigo, and it's just like, what is going on, man?
Well, knock on wood, nothing like that happens to you when you're going down LA this time around. Because ideally, we'll see. Good story, but way too stressful.
Don't want it again. I'm cool with the one time. I'm cool with being 15 doing it. I don't need to be 19 doing it. We're good. We're cool. We did it the one time. I don't need to do it again. We're cool.
so going all down to LA, and we like talked about how like that's that hub that you can get tapped into and stuff.
Yep.
Is the goal to kind of bring some of those connections back to the Okanagan, or do you see yourself settling down somewhere like that for the future?
Both. It's definitely both. Near term, I would say I want to bring people back. And one of the things that I'm going to talk to with different people I meet is, hey, I live in this really cool city. And I have a place that you guys can come live for a week or two. And we can record the entire time, have a good time, hang out, whatever. And that'll be like later after I've met them a couple times. Like Castro, I would say that. I would text him that. I know Castro at this point. But it's like the other people that I'm hoping to meet. I would be like, hey, let's come back, let's record and just kind of bring that to the Okanagan. But I mean, ideally go down to LA at some point, or New York, or one of those places, Miami. I don't really want to live in Miami, but go down to Miami and set up there and really blow things up. And Castro and I have some conversations that we're going to have about some cool stuff. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm always, I feel like the Okanagan is on the verge, and especially Kelowna, on the verge of being one of these cities that's like truly on the map and people know about. And obviously I never see it being like a Vancouver, or necessarily like an LA or New York or Miami or whatever. But I can definitely see it being a place where artists come and they, my dream would be have a studio, and like maybe even a studio on a winery or something like that like nobody knows about, and these very like famous, very talented artists, some of the world's best, come through, hit the Jordan Powers experience up, do a podcast episode and then record for a month or something like that. And I feel like the valley is primed for something like that. And we have a ton of celebrities already. Just kicking around the Okanagan. Like I know Justin Bieber comes here every now and again. I know Kim Kardashian was out on the boat in the lake like last summer.
Really?
And she made like an Instagram post about it. And then obviously all the NHL players and stuff like that. So we got something special going on here, but we're clearly not like 100% there yet.
Yep. And it's one of those things where I want to be in Kelowna even when I'm gone, because at some point I will be gone. I will be moving somewhere else. But I still want to be here in some way, whether that's having a place here or, coming back and doing shows and recording or whatever it ends up being. I still want to be here, because at the end of the day, Lethbridge may be my hometown, but this is my home. This is where I grew into me. This is where Harv was born as a brand, as a producer, and helped me become better as a person. And so I will always have love for the city. It's not going to be my forever, resting place, but it'll be somewhere that I keep coming back to and bringing artists through and everything like that.
Definitely. And do you think that the hip hop scene here in town, or even just the music scene in general, can support someone with the goals and ambitions like yourself, and eventually, and theoretically, if you hit all those goals and ambitions, do you feel like this valley can support that, or is it inevitable that you have to leave?
I think certain people can. But at the end of the day, I think that there's certain places that everyone needs to go. And I think that LA is one of those places, especially when you're getting off the ground. I think that, there is a select few people in the hip hop community that have love for me and that I have love for. It's very select individuals. And those are the people that I want to see come down to LA at some point. And we'll come back and we'll run the city in terms of the music scene, everything like that. But it's also one of those things where I think that LA has more growing room. This is a place to build character and a good place to start a fan base. But I think that if you want to reach the heights, you either got to be in Atlanta, LA, Miami, New York, Houston, one of those places at some point, because that's the way you're going to get tapped into these people that are going to push your career to the next level. If you're looking for a manager, you're not going to find it in Kelowna. You're not going to find a good manager in Kelowna. This is why I have not asked anyone to be my manager.
No, and it's same with acting and filmmaking. Like I tell everybody, like don't sign with an agent from town. No offense to any of the talent agencies here in town, but you're just not it. You're just not it. And that's just being practical. It's like you have to go somewhere else and find a true agent.
Yeah. And like my sights are always, how can we sell out stadiums? Selling out shows, that's sick. If you're doing that, you're living good. You're living off your music, you're living good. How can I grow with an artist to the level that, someone like Travis is at, or Drake, or Kanye, or, people like that? How can we be infamous and leave our mark? Because at the end of the day, if you want to make music for fun and just have a good time, that's cool. That's not what I'm about, though. I'm about being the absolute best that I can be at anything I do. I was going to go be an investment banker, and I was already I already did the LSAT because I was going to go into law school, and I was going to go in and be the best investment banker people have ever seen in their life. I was going to work all the hours, whatever. I'm just shifting that to music now because I was like, music is more fun for me. So it's like, oh, okay, you want to play with my time? We don't have to speak. We don't have to have meetings. We don't have to record. If you're about it, I'm still about having fun, but I also want to do something with it. And that's where Indigo and I see eye to eye, where he's very serious about his brand. He's very serious about making quality music. And we have a good time in the studio. It's not like I'm in the studio like, oh man, like you got to record these lines. We got to like make this most popular thing ever. It's like, no, let's record it. And then that's when we actually work. Mm-hmm. But if you're at the studio working, I know you're about it.
Well, and you'll be bald in 4 years from stress if you become an investment banker. So
yeah.
Nobody wants that at all.
Exactly. I love my hair. So let's not do that.
You said infamous.
Yeah.
Instead of like famous or legendary. And like infamous kind of has a tone of slightly going against the grain, not being loved by everybody. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that is almost inevitable and comes with the territory of being in hip hop?
I'm already there. There's a lot of people that I have rubbed the wrong way, but it all comes down to they have disrespected my time. They've disrespected me. They don't understand the value that I can bring, and maybe they just haven't seen it, which is fair. Like I don't have that much stuff out. I think I have 4 songs out. Understandable that some people would be like, oh, like whatever. But there's certain people that have seen me at work, and they still aren't coming correct and aren't, moving the right way. So it's like, we don't have to speak. We don't have to be in the same room then, because I'm trying to get to these heights. I'm trying to get to Quincy Jones. I'm not trying to be Kanye. Kanye is amazing. I'm not trying to be an artist though. I'm not trying to be Timbaland, because Timbaland, he's definitely like, he's in the culture. He's never going to leave. He's my greatest producer ever. In my opinion, he's shifted the sound a lot of ways as well. I'm trying to go for Quincy Jones, though, where if you look at the things he's done, he made Thriller by Michael Jackson, 33 times platinum, 3.3 times diamond. It's not all about the numbers, but the numbers mean something. I'm trying to shoot for that level of greatness. And if someone isn't trying to shoot for that level of greatness, then what are you doing? Like, if you're doing it for fun, that's sick. But I am, but I'm not.
Well, you're definitely a very confident cat.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
My dad.
Yeah?
100% my dad. He instilled it in all 3 of his boys, and also my mom. He's just one of those people where he believes in himself a lot. He's more quiet than I am as well, a lot more reserved. So he's more of the humble, confident. I'm a little bit more of the, harder pill to swallow.
And you're the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
And like coming into the music scene as well here, I got cut out of a lot of things. And so I've had a chip on my shoulder this entire time. And so I'm ready to, I'm not going to come back and be boastful about it, but it's also going to be like, oh, okay, you played with my time. Let's charge you for it now. That's what it's going to be.
And what do you think the Kelowna music scene needs, more specifically on the hip hop scene? But how do we make it a better scene, in your opinion?
Stop releasing bad music, please. Stop releasing poorly mixed, poorly produced stuff, because like there's so many people out there that I hit play, and about 5 seconds in, I'm turning it off because I'm like, this already doesn't sound good.
That's fair. But there must have been a point where you were releasing music that you would consider bad, and
it was terrible.
Releasing it has got to be part of that journey, no?
Yeah, 100%. But it's also I've tried to work with these people, and they said no, so I'm just like, just
You're like, I could have elevated this project.
Yeah,
if you
I feel like
just-
my mixing, if it was in play or if they called me to produce or whatever, I feel like I could have done it better. And so that's just very specific artists. In terms of like Huey Doja.
Yeah, Huey Doge. Yeah.
Huey Doge. He's a fantastic artist. I love his music.
Yeah.
I've never worked with him. I don't think I've even hit him up, but he's a fantastic artist.
That's tight. I love Huey.
Okanagan, keep doing more stuff like that, please. That's amazing. Indigo, keep going. Obviously, I love Indigo. That's my brother. Keep doing more stuff like that. And it's like artists like that where they're releasing, they're in the studio, they're recording, everything like that. And you know, there's certain people that I look at and they're recording and working, and I'm like, that's good, but let's try to tweak it a little bit, because there's certain things that, like, as an artist, you don't need to be doing everything that you do. Like, you don't need to mix it and everything, especially if you have a whole team around you. So you can just really play the creative role and like listen to it and be like, oh, we should change this and stuff. And I feel like people aren't listening to their own music enough before releasing it. They make it, mix it, and then the next week it's out. Could be a way to do it. That's how the SoundCloud era was. But the SoundCloud era is also filled with a bunch of legends, and they're all very geographically dispersed. They weren't all in one area. So statistically, we'll have one. And so if we just keep releasing bad stuff, we'll have one. If we start releasing quality stuff and people start tapping in with the right mixing engineers and people start getting Deus to do more stuff and stuff like that, and getting Sheen to produce more, everything like that.
Yeah. Shout out Somewhere in the Valley. Shout out The Vault. Yeah.
100%. If we get more people working with those guys, it's going to go up.
Yeah.
But as of right now, using the YouTube beats is played out. Using your buddy who doesn't know how to mix is played out. Use the people who know how to do it. Use the people who research it. Deus researches that. He is one of those people who all he does is record and mix and master. Mm-hmm. That's what he does. He doesn't produce like I do, where I get into the creative mind of it like way too much, where I could switch this in the beat, whatever. I get too much into it a little bit sometimes. He just pushes out content. It's crazy. He's amazing.
He's a pro.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So we need to count on people like that more, who have reputations.
And I think that's where the struggle comes from, is because those people deserve to get paid for what they do. And a lot of time when you're an up and coming hip hop artist in the Okanagan, you know, you have to pay your rent to live here, and everybody knows the housing market's crazy in town. And so all that extra cash, when you count your pennies, it goes to that. And so I think that's where really, if the local Kelowna government is really about the arts and about, you know, promoting local artists, they need to tap into the hip hop scene and make sure they're putting money in the pockets of those artists so that they can pay guys like Deus, pay guys like Little Sheen, pay guys like yourself to do what you do best.
And it's
and myself also. I make almost all my music videos. I pay out of my own pocket to do. Right. So
100%. And it's also one of those things where even if the government doesn't necessarily do it, like, I feel like a lot of people could band together. It's very cliquey here. It's always been cliquey in Kelowna, where even back in high school, not even on music stuff, it's cliquey. If you look at grown-up friend groups, very cliquey. Everyone's very cliquey. And so that's going to be the death of the Kelowna music scene, is we have this camp over here, and they said something about this camp over here, so we can't mess with them. And they said something about this camp over here, so both these can't mess with these. Shut up. Work together. Why do you think Atlanta is so hot? Because they all work together. They all are about one thing. Let's release music. Let's blow up a new artist every week. Why do you think there's a new, young, rich black man out of Atlanta every single week? It's because they're all banding together. Atlanta is a community. Kelowna's not. Kelowna is... Everybody wants to step on everybody's neck, and I don't understand it. Like, work with each other. It's not hard.
Yeah. No, that is, you're not wrong. That has been something in Kelowna that I think is getting better, though. Especially in the music scene, I think it's getting better. But yeah, even when I was rocking with those Rare Breed boys, man, like, they got so much hate from the local scene for a while there, and it was like, well, what the fuck, man? We're doing the exact same thing that you're trying to do.
Yeah,
like
pride is the devil.
Proud as the devil. Proud as the devil.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're going to hear from our very last sponsor, and then we'll come back for a third segment. But yeah, this has been dope so far, dude.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Catch you in a few.
Really? Really?
Got into the whole mixing and mastering kind of
What? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so he graduated with my sister, and I got hired to do my sister's graduation video. And like, actually, that's where I first saw Cameron Ambrosio as well. He was one of the hosts of like OCAM does like this fashion show thing.
Yep.
Where like you go through whatever, like I think ours we went through like the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and like different style, and then theirs it was like a like Bill and Ted Adventure Time Machine kind of thing. And so Cam was one of the hosts, and that's when I noticed like Cam's like a performer. Like,
I feel like Cam would have killed that outfit too.
he crushed it, but Austin Diaz stepped up on stage and like crushed the song, and I reached out to him after, and I was just like yo man, I'd love to shoot some videos for you, and so he kind of and photos for you, and so he kind of helped kickstart my career in the hip hop scene here.
That's
so
sick.
Yeah, I got mad respect for that guy.
Wow.
We're back. I brought this up on a podcast with Balin McGraw, who is a lead singer for a metal band here in town called Ugly. And
what a great name!
Yeah. I think I'm gonna drop that tomorrow. So when the time we're recording this, it will be dropped tomorrow. So by the time I release this, that episode will already be out. But I usually ask this question when I'm on a date with a girl and bring her to Jack's or something like that, and I'll just
I feel so honored that I'm going to be asked this.
And so they have like the wall of albums and stuff up there.
Oh yeah.
And I always say, if you were on a plane and this plane was carrying the world's vinyl records, or like at least one vinyl from each of those from each band or whatever, and that plane crashed, and you're on a deserted island, and you can only take 3 vinyl records. And for some reason, you have a vinyl record player on this island that's intact as well.
It's a lit island.
What 3 records would you take to listen to with you on this island?
That's a great question. That is a fantastic question. Number 1, I have to say Astroworld, because it influenced me more than anything else. I have it tattooed on my leg.
Really?
I have it tattooed on my thigh because it influenced my sound more than anything else. I think people will begin to understand that when Indigo and I drop our tape, and when Castro and I start dropping more music as well. What else? What else would I have? Honestly, The Healing Component by Mick Jenkins, I would have to say. Great album. One weird song where I'm like, the rhythm doesn't really make sense to me. But everything else, it's like a super soulful rap, everything like that. And then, What Could Possibly Go Wrong by Dominic Fike.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild. I'm surprised you didn't pick Kendrick Lamar's Damn.
Damn wouldn't be on that list anyway. If it was Kendrick, it would probably be To Pimp a Butterfly.
Nice.
Damn is a great project, but To Pimp a Butterfly is so much more impactful, and the sonics are just crazier. So
yeah, fair. So why Astroworld? What about Astroworld inspired you so much? Because for me, when that album dropped, I had nothing but respect for the visuals.
Yeah,
like that whole scene when he was like doing like the trailer of his coming out, where he's in the shopping cart and he's going through the mall and there's the meet. I'm like, hey, this dude is a visionary. Like he is a true artist. And then you could see that he expanded Astroworld into the visual side of things, which is something I would love to be a part of in the future. But what about the tape that made you so in love with it?
It's a combination of why he made it. So Astroworld was the theme park in Houston. It was a Six Flags, and Travis and all his buddies would go down there, and it got torn down in 2005. So it was gone. Travis didn't know where to hang out anymore because that was like their spot. And so he told all his buddies, I'm going to bring this back. Like, I'm going to bring back Astroworld. And before Birds in the Trap had even dropped, he announced Astroworld. I think it maybe even was before Birds was announced, but I don't know that for sure. But for sure, before Birds dropped, he announced Astroworld. And so he had this vision since probably even before Alfaro of, I'm going to get to a level where I can bring back Astroworld and bring back the good times that I had, and people can experience the nostalgia and like how being a kid in Houston felt for Jack Webster III. And so he went, and just everything about it, if you listen to it with the intention of like amusement park, stargazing gets you up and everything like that. And the whole thing past when you first click play on stargazing, is an amusement park. Every track is a different ride. And another part about it is I was down in LA when it dropped. I was at school. So I got to talk about it with other people who were doing music. And I was going to pick up my dad at LAX when we were listening to it, me and my mom. And we were listening to R.I.P. Screw, and it said, like, the lyric is like, drop top with the windows up. And we had my mom's drop top down there, and the windows were up. So it was just one of those moments where it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Then came home, played it with my buddies for the next ever. And my grad gift and my Christmas gift for 2019, well, Christmas 2018, 2019 is when I graduated, was general admission tickets to Astroworld in Vancouver.
Wow, so you got to go see him.
Yeah, and general admission, that's the floor. No seats, nothing. So it's a mosh pit. And seeing the live performance of it as well made everything come together in a way that was crazy. And it was one of those things where it was a year and a half of my life that it just took over. Because I would be listening to, like, if you listen to stargazing, the second part has crazy delays. The first part has pretty cool effects as well. But like the echoes on his voice on the second part of stargazing are crazy. Then you go into Carousel, and hearing Frank Ocean for the first time, you're like, who is this? And then it's like, oh, this is Frank. Then Sicko Mode comes on. Everybody knows Sicko Mode, overplayed at this point. But when you first listen to it, you're like, that's Drake. Like, Drake is on this album. Then you get to R.I.P. Screw, and the delay that you hear, it's like the second or third time the hook goes through, and it's like, there's a certain way to do it that I understand now, but at the time I did not. And it just delays out, and then at a certain point, when everything's super calm, it drops out, and all the chaos goes away. Everything makes sense again, because a lot didn't when the delay was happening. And it's just like those things I picked up on, and I was like, I need to learn how to do that. And so I mean, Travis is my biggest influence, Mike Dean as well. Those two collectively, and then if we throw in Kanye, those three are the biggest influences for me.
Mm-hmm. When you had those general admission tickets to the concert, are you in the mosh genuinely just enjoying the experience and the moment and like kind of letting loose, or are you analyzing everything and being like, yo, where am I at? Because I don't know if the audience can tell, but I've been drinking tequila with orange juice for the whole night, and you've just been dialed in with the agua, that H2O. So yeah. I'm curious, like, do you actually just like let loose at those shows, or do you
at shows? Yeah, 100%. I don't do live sound. I don't want to do live sound.
Right.
I overanalyze music when I'm listening to it, like in my car, in headphones, everything like that. Like, I love listening to music. I hate listening to music. It's terrible. I feel like you probably experience this with videos as well, where you're like, oh, this is that effect, and like they did it this way and everything like that. Yeah. I do that with music every time I listen to it, which is all the time. So it kind of sucks. It's cool, but it kind of sucks. When I was at Astroworld, it's one of those things where I did look around and I was just like, holy goodness, look at like everything that's happening. But it's also like, when Travis jumps and the flames come out, you start jumping and pushing people because you're just like, this is happening. Carousel comes on and you just like start like throwing people around. There's one song that I thought I was gonna die, but yeah, that's it.
And so when you eventually have a project that blows up,
Yep.
and you're on a world tour and stuff like that, do you imagine yourself on stage, or are you in the background? Like, are you like, do you DJ at all, or?
No, I don't DJ, but what Mike Dean does, I think, is really cool, where he's on stage and he's playing the synthesizers. I don't know if I would ever do that, because I also want to at some point move into the business end of the music industry and like if I can be like, some form of creative role in the show in terms of like putting the stage design together, or whatever, track list, everything like that. I would love to do that, but I would also like to just sit in the back and just be like, look at what we made. Like, look at what we did. Because it's one of those things where I think shows are a very special thing, because it's a time to reflect for a lot of people. And for the artists, it's time to go crazy. Promotion, let's do it. For some people, I feel like it's probably a time to just sit back and be like, we've made it this far. I remember where we started. Now we're here. It's going to be one of those things where it's like, I remember we started in a closet studio at KSS. Now we're here. It's going to be one of those things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and being on the road is such a grind, dude. I don't know if people like growing up. My dad was a drummer, and he moved out of the Okanagan when he was 18 to go pursue being in a rock band in Vancouver. And then he met my mom, and my mom was like in love with him for being a drummer and stuff like that. And at some point she was just like, hey dude, you gotta smarten up when we gotta start a family, And so she just like really was like, yo, this is what it is. And so growing up, like I had kind of a similar dream of like, I played drums and wanting to be, on stage and partying and hanging out with models and all these things and drinking every night and that kind of, but when The Dirt came out by the movie about Motley Crue, I remember mentioning to my dad, is just like, I'm not built for that.
No.
I'm not built for that lifestyle. Like, that is such a difficult lifestyle to like, I've never stayed up 24 hours in my entire life.
It's not that great. It's not that great.
Like, it's tough.
Yeah.
So I can imagine being the one on stage and always performing night after night and not even know what city you're in. And like, it's a grind.
Yeah.
And like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mad respect to the artist. Like
100%.
I don't know if I'll ever be that state of tired. Like I'll be tired. I don't know if I'm going to be like, on the road. I won't be performing. I know that for sure. I don't think I'll ever be that type of tired where it's like, okay, I just did a show. We woke up really early because we needed to drive to this other place. They want me to record a feature and I have to perform tonight. What?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think I'll ever experience that type of just exhaustion. And the fact that they can do it is nuts.
One of the guys I met at 1800 nothing for literally maybe 30 seconds, and I was the least important person out of the rare breed group that he had to meet.
Yep.
Was a guy named Brance, and he started 1800 nothing, and they were like a church group in Inglewood, and then they've like, he's now like this whole group has gone on to, and this band that was playing at the church had gone on to like be like the background band for Jay-Z and Beyonce, for the Migos at Coachella. Like, they're just legends. They got Grammys on the wall. And I'm kind of just going based off memory, so obviously it wouldn't be 100%, but basically he flew in from Europe, is my understanding, rolled into 1800 nothing, which is the studio, came and said hi to us, took 5 minutes out of his day to say hi to us, and then hopped into a studio to go record with another guy for probably like an hour or two, and then he was off on another private jet to go and fly to New York to go record with another artist.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, yo, that was that dude's day. That was one day. He was in Europe and then LA, and then a little recording session, 5 minutes from these random ass dudes from Kelowna.
Yeah.
And
okay, so maybe I will experience that type of exhaustion at some point. Wow. Oh my goodness.
It was nuts, man. It was nuts. Yeah.
I don't understand how they fun. Maybe I need to start drinking coffee. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, you don't drink coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I'm at the point where like a whole French press of coffee is like, it gets me to normal. It gets me to a functional capability.
Yeah, I wake up at like 5:30 for work, and I'm just like raw dogging life out here, man.
You should make that into a t-shirt, man. I'm up at 5 and I raw dog life.
No drugs, don't really drink that much, no coffee, raw dog in life, man.
Good for you, dude, because like honestly, like I've definitely been inspired by like the whole troubled artist kind of thing before, and I think a lot of people are, and it's not necessary, you know. So yeah, just keep doing that if that works for you. Definitely. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, we've discussed how you're going to LA. Yep. But I want to take this kind of like last moment of the podcast to shout out all the things that you got going on, where people can find you, some of the projects you've worked on in the past, so people can have some reference to what you've done. And,
Definitely.
And yeah, take it away.
All right. So people can find me on Instagram at HeyJHarv. It's HeyJHarv. And then Twitter, same thing. I'm not going to give up my Snapchat on here. Sorry, everybody. And then, you know, projects that I've released. I have one called Smooth Operator. It's by a dude named Supply. He's out of Colorado. Went to school in Hollywood with him. Mad love for the dude. He goes by a different name now, but that was back in those days. First song that I produced, mixed, and mastered. So I actually really enjoy that song still. Didn't master it loud enough, but whatever. And then Where I Need to Be by Cameron James and myself, which features Indigo. And so that's on all streaming services as well. Produced, recorded, mixed, mastered, did the outro on that one. And then also worked on Rah Rah by Indigo, featuring Castro, Guapo. I recorded that one, helped mix it, and then Indy mastered it, produced it, also co-mixed it with me, everything like that. What I got going on right now is, you know, working with Castro, everything like that. We've recorded some songs. We're going to record some more songs and see what we can do. Indigo and I have 7 songs together on a tape called Pleiades, which will, you know, I was about to say, you know, almost a release date. I'm not going to say that yet. It's dropping in the fall. And then, so I got to get that done and everything like that. And then past that, just working on setting up a brand for myself called Midnight Club, which everybody will see what that is in the future. We'll leave them confused for now.
Hells yeah, man. Well, yeah. I'm excited to see where your career takes off to and what you got going on after the whole LA experience. And
definitely.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast, my man.
Hell yeah. It was a good time.
All right. We'll put all those descriptions down in all those links down in the description below. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, people.
Hell yeah.